Pride and Prejudice, Why Jane Austen's Classic Endures Today. Hook and intro. Hello everyone and welcome to our channel. Have you ever been so convinced of someone's character only to realize later that your first impression was entirely, beautifully wrong, or perhaps you felt the weight of societal expectations pushing you towards a path you weren't sure was truly yours? These are universal human experiences, dilemmas that have echoed across centuries. From the grand ballrooms of 19th century England to the scrolling feeds of our modern lives. Today, we embark on a journey into the heart of one of English literature's most beloved and enduring masterpieces, Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. More than just a charming love story, this novel is a profound exploration of human nature, a witty critique of society, and a timeless guide to self-discovery. We're going to uncover precisely why this novel, penned over 2 centuries ago, remains a cornerstone of literary education and a popular favorite, captivating new generations with its sparkle and wisdom. At its core, Pride and Prejudice asks us to consider the powerful, often deceptive roles that pride and prejudice play in our lives. How do our preconceived notions blind us to truth? How does our own arrogance prevent us from forming genuine connections? And in a world filled with social pressures and expectations, how do we find the courage to forge our own path, to seek a love based on mutual respect and understanding rather than mere convenience or status? These are the central questions that Austen masterfully unpacks through the lives of her unforgettable characters. In this video, we will delve into the literary brilliance that elevates Pride and Prejudice to its classic status, Austen's unparalleled wit, her groundbreaking narrative techniques, and her astute social commentary. But we'll also go beyond the academic analysis to explore the elements that ensure its perennial popularity, the relatable characters, the compelling romance, and the timeless lessons that continue to resonate with us today, even as our social landscapes have dramatically changed. By the end, you'll understand why Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy's journey from initial animosity to profound love is not just a tale for the ages, but a mirror reflecting our own struggles and triumphs in the quest for authentic connection. So settle in, perhaps with a cup of tea, and let's explore the enduring magic of Pride and Prejudice. This story offers us not just an escape into a bygone era, but a chance to reflect on our own biases, our own values, and the true meaning of happiness in a world that constantly bombards us with superficial judgments. It teaches us the profound importance of looking beyond the surface, of challenging our own assumptions, and of recognizing the inherent worth in every individual, regardless of their social standing or outward demeanor. Pride and Prejudice is a timeless lesson in empathy, self-correction, and the enduring power of love to overcome even the most formidable of barriers. Context and background. To truly appreciate Pride and Prejudice, we must first immerse ourselves in the world that Jane Austen so meticulously brought to life, Regency England. Born in 1775, Jane Austen was herself a member of the gentry class, though of more modest means than many of the characters she depicted. Her father was a clergyman, and her family life, while intellectually stimulating, was also acutely aware of the economic realities facing women of her time. Austen never married, and her observations from within this social sphere gave her unparalleled insight into the customs, anxieties, and hidden desires that shaped the lives of those around her. She completed Pride and Prejudice, originally titled First Impressions, between 1796 and 1797, but it was not published until 1813. The Regency era, roughly spanning the early 19th century, 1811 to 1820, though Austen's work often covers a broader period around this, was a time of strict social hierarchy. Society was stratified by birth, land ownership, and inherited wealth. The landed gentry, a class below the aristocracy but above the burgeoning middle class, were the focus of much of Austen's work. For women of this class, opportunities for independent life were severely limited. They could not typically inherit property due to laws like entailment, which directed estates to male heirs, pursue professions, or control their own finances. Therefore, marriage was not merely a romantic ideal, It was the primary, often the only, means of securing financial stability, social standing, and a comfortable future. This societal backdrop is crucial to understanding the motivations of characters like Mrs. Bennet, who is driven to near frenzy by the need to marry off her 5 daughters. The stakes were incredibly high for families like the Bennets, whose estate, Longbourn, was entailed away from the female line, meaning it would pass to a distant male cousin, Mr. Collins, upon Mr. Bennet's death. This precarious financial situation forms the engine of much of the plot and the anxieties of the characters. Austen wrote during a burgeoning period for the novel as a literary form. While sometimes viewed as a frivolous genre compared to poetry or nonfiction, novels were gaining popularity, especially among women. Austen's work distinguished itself from the more sentimental or Gothic novels of her time by offering a more realistic, psychologically astute, and subtly satirical portrayal of social life. Her novels are often classified as novels of manners, meticulously depicting the customs, conventions, and moral codes of a particular class and era. Her precision, wit, and narrative innovations would solidify her place in literary history. Now let's turn to the captivating story of Pride and Prejudice itself. The story begins in the small village of Meryton, Hertfordshire, with the arrival of a wealthy, amiable young gentleman named Mr. Charles Bingley, who takes up residence at the nearby estate of Netherfield Park. His arrival sends the neighborhood, particularly the Bennet family, into a flutter. Mrs. Bennet, whose sole ambition in life is to see her 5 daughters married, is overjoyed at the prospect. The Bennet family consists of Mr. Bennet, a somewhat detached but witty patriarch, and Mrs. Bennet, whose nerves and singular focus on marriage often make her a source of embarrassment. Their 5 daughters are Jane, the eldest, beautiful and gentle; Elizabeth, intelligent, witty, and independent; Mary, bookish and pedantic; Catherine, Kitty, easily influenced; and Lydia, the youngest, flirtatious and imprudent. At the first public assembly, a ball, the local society is introduced to Mr. Bingley and his party, which includes his 2 sisters, Miss Bingley and Mrs. Hurst, and his very wealthy, strikingly handsome but aloof friend, Mr. Fitzwilliam Darcy. Mr. Bingley is immediately admired for his pleasant manners and open disposition, and he takes an immediate liking to the beautiful Jane Bennet. However, Mr. Darcy, despite his impressive fortune, is perceived as arrogant and proud. He refuses to dance with anyone outside his immediate party, notably making a slighting remark about Elizabeth, saying she is tolerable but not handsome enough to tempt me. This remark immediately earns Elizabeth strong prejudice against him. Over the following weeks, Jane and Bingley grow closer, much to Mrs. Bennet's delight. Elizabeth, however, finds herself continually clashing with Mr. Darcy, engaging in witty verbal sparring that reveals their intellectual equality but deep mutual disdain. Darcy, despite himself, finds himself drawn to Elizabeth's lively mind and independent spirit, qualities he rarely encounters in his own social circle, though he fights against this attraction due to her lower social standing and the embarrassing behavior of her family. During this time, a new character arrives, Mr. William Collins, a pompous and obsequious clergyman who is the heir to the Bennet estate through entailment. He intends to marry one of the Bennet daughters to make amends for inheriting their property. He first proposes to Jane, but Mrs. Bennet quickly steers him toward Elizabeth, assuring him Jane is already taken. Mr. Collins's proposal to Elizabeth is a cringeworthy display of his self-importance and utter lack of understanding of her character. He enumerates his reasons for marrying, none of which involve affection. Elizabeth unequivocally rejects him, much to her mother's fury but her father's quiet approval. Distraught by Elizabeth's rejection, Mr. Collins swiftly proposes to Elizabeth's best friend, Charlotte Lucas, a practical young woman of 27 who fears spinsterhood and values security over romantic love. Charlotte accepts, making a pragmatic choice for an establishment. Her marriage provides a stark contrast to Elizabeth's ideals and highlights the limited options available to women of the era. The village also introduces Mr. George Wickham, a charming militia officer who immediately captivates Elizabeth. He tells her a fabricated story of how Mr. Darcy, his godfather's son, cruelly defrauded him of an inheritance. Elizabeth, already prejudiced against Darcy, readily believes Wickham's account, solidifying her negative opinion of Darcy. Darcy, meanwhile, expresses his disapproval of Wickham's character to Elizabeth, further cementing her conviction that Darcy is an arrogant, unjust man. However, a sudden turn of events occurs when Bingley abruptly leaves Netherfield for London without proposing to Jane, and shows no sign of returning. Jane is heartbroken, and Elizabeth suspects Darcy and Miss Bingley are behind the separation, believing them to be snobs who consider the Bennet family beneath them. This reinforces Elizabeth's prejudice against Darcy. Later, Elizabeth visits Charlotte at Hunsford Parsonage, where Mr. Collins serves as rector for Lady Catherine de Bourgh, Mr. Darcy's formidable and aristocratic aunt. During this visit, Elizabeth frequently encounters Darcy, who is staying at Rosings Park, Lady Catherine's grand estate. Despite their continued verbal sparring, Darcy unexpectedly proposes to Elizabeth. His proposal, however, is delivered with shocking condescension, as he emphasizes her family's inferior connections and the great sacrifice he is making to overcome his social objections. Elizabeth, incensed by his arrogance and still believing Wickham's story and blaming Darcy for Jane's heartbreak, vehemently rejects his proposal, accusing him of cruelty, pride, and interfering in Jane and Bingley's relationship. The scene is a dramatic clash of their ingrained biases. The next day, Darcy gives Elizabeth a long, detailed letter. In it, he explains his actions. He reveals that Wickham is a deceitful scoundrel who squandered his inheritance, attempted to elope with Darcy's 15-year-old sister Georgiana for her fortune, and fabricated the story of being wronged by Darcy. Darcy also explains that he did indeed interfere with Jane and Bingley's budding romance, but only because he believed Jane's affections for Bingley were not as strong as Bingley's for her, and he wanted to protect his friend from what he perceived as a potentially disadvantageous match due to the Bennet family's vulgar behavior. This letter is a pivotal turning point. Elizabeth is forced to confront her own blindness, partiality, prejudice, absurdity. She realizes she has been utterly wrong about both Darcy and Wickham, and her self-reflection marks the true beginning of her personal growth and her changing perception of Darcy. Later, Elizabeth goes on a tour with her aunt and uncle, the Gardiners, and they visit Pemberley, Darcy's magnificent estate, believing he is away. However, Darcy unexpectedly arrives. Seeing him in his natural environment, interacting graciously with his staff, and hearing glowing testimonials about his character from his housekeeper further softens Elizabeth's prejudice. Darcy, in turn, is genuinely surprised and pleased to see Elizabeth, and his demeanor is much warmer and more amiable than before. He introduces her to his sister, Georgiana, and treats her relatives, the Gardiners, with unexpected politeness, defying Elizabeth's preconceived notions of his snobbery. Just as a tentative new understanding begins to form between them, news arrives that Lydia has eloped with Wickham, bringing disgrace upon the entire Bennet family. This scandal threatens to ruin the reputation and marriage prospects of all the Bennet sisters. Mr. Bennet and Mr. Gardiner attempt to find them, but it is ultimately Mr. Darcy who secretly intervenes. He tracks down Wickham and, at great personal expense and trouble, bribes Wickham to marry Lydia, ensuring her reputation and safeguarding the Bennet family's honor. He does this for Elizabeth's sake, without her knowledge. Once the truth of Darcy's intervention is revealed by Mrs. Gardiner, Elizabeth is overwhelmed with gratitude, humility, and a profound realization of Darcy's true character and his deep affection for her. Her prejudice is completely dismantled, replaced by respect and genuine love. Finally, Mr. Bingley returns to Netherfield and, with Darcy's support, proposes to Jane, who happily accepts. Lady Catherine de Bourgh, having heard rumors of Elizabeth and Darcy, makes an imperious visit to Longbourn, demanding that Elizabeth promise never to marry Darcy, whom she deems unworthy due to her family's connections. Elizabeth, with her characteristic wit and defiance, refuses to make such a promise. Darcy, hearing of this, is encouraged by Elizabeth's spirited defense of her right to choose. Darcy makes a second, humble and sincere proposal, having learned from his past errors. Elizabeth, now recognizing her own pride and prejudice, accepts him, finally embracing a love based on mutual respect, understanding, and genuine affection. The novel concludes with the marriages of Jane to Bingley and Elizabeth to Darcy, symbolizing the triumph of true love and self-awareness over societal pressures and personal flaws. Core narrative and analysis at the heart of Pride and Prejudice lies its titular theme, the intricate dance between pride and prejudice, which Austen so masterfully dissects. These are not static flaws but dynamic forces that shape perception, impede understanding, and ultimately must be overcome for genuine connection to flourish. Mr. Darcy initially embodies pride, stemming from his aristocratic background, immense wealth, and social standing. His aloofness at the Meryton ball and his condescending remarks about Elizabeth's family are clear manifestations of this. He struggles to see beyond Elizabeth's perceived social inferiority and the vulgarity of her relatives. Yet Elizabeth, for all her intelligence and wit, is equally guilty of prejudice. Her quick judgments, particularly against Darcy, are based on first impressions and fueled by the deceptive charm of Wickham. Her pride in her own discernment, her belief in her ability to read character, ironically blinds her to the truth. When Darcy makes his first arrogant proposal, Elizabeth's rejection is a passionate outpouring of her entrenched prejudice, further aggravated by her belief that he ruined Jane's happiness and wronged Wickham. She tells him from the very beginning, "From the first moment, I may almost say, of my acquaintance with you, your manners, impressing me with the fullest belief of your arrogance, your conceit, and your selfish disdain of the feelings of others, were such as to form that groundwork of disapprobation on which succeeding events have built so immovable a dislike." The novel's genius lies in showing how both characters embark on a parallel journey of self-discovery, gradually dismantling their own biases. Darcy's pivotal letter explaining Wickham's true villainy and his own misguided attempts to protect Bingley forces Elizabeth to confront her blindness, partiality, prejudice, absurdity. She acknowledges, "How despicably have I acted, I who have prided myself on my discernment, I who have valued myself on my abilities to judge of others, how humiliating is this discovery." This moment of profound introspection is crucial. Similarly, Darcy's interactions with Elizabeth and his reflection on her accusations force him to temper his pride and reconsider his social prejudices, leading to a more humble and amiable demeanor. Austen also brilliantly illuminates the pervasive influence of social class and marriage. In Regency England, marriage was less about romantic love and more about economic security and social advancement, particularly for women. The plight of the Bennet daughters, whose estate is entailed to Mr. Collins, underscores this stark reality. Charlotte Lucas's pragmatic decision to marry the odious Mr. Collins for a comfortable home rather than love serves as a powerful foil to Elizabeth's ideals. Charlotte represents the painful compromises an intelligent woman of limited means often had to make. She states plainly, "I am not romantic, I never was. I ask only a comfortable home." This contrasts sharply with Elizabeth's unwavering commitment to marrying for genuine affection and mutual respect. She rejects Mr. Collins's offer and initially Darcy's because neither aligns with her vision of a companionate marriage. Her eventual union with Darcy is thus a triumph, not just of love, but of her refusal to compromise her integrity. Darcy, in turn, has to overcome his own class prejudice, recognizing Elizabeth's superior character despite her inferior connections. Their marriage signifies a merging of two worlds, not just two individuals, asserting that true worth transcends inherited status. The novel also serves as a biting social critique, subtly dissecting the follies and hypocrisies of Regency society. Austen uses sharp wit and irony to expose characters like Mrs. Bennet, with her incessant focus on marriage and social blunders, or the imperious Lady Catherine de Bourgh, who embodies aristocratic snobbery and meddlesome pride. For example, Lady Catherine's interrogation of Elizabeth regarding her potential marriage to Darcy, where she demands Elizabeth promises never to accept him, highlights the absurdity of class-based arrogance. Elizabeth's spirited refusal, "I am a gentleman's daughter," is a powerful assertion of individual agency against oppressive social norms. Austen's narrative style is a cornerstone of her literary merit. She is a master of free indirect discourse, a technique that allows the reader to access characters' thoughts and feelings as if directly but still through the narrator's voice. This provides deep psychological insight and allows for subtle irony. For instance, we often perceive events through Elizabeth's initial biased lens, only to have the narrator or subsequent revelations expose her misjudgments, inviting the reader to discern deeper meanings alongside Elizabeth. Her prose is precise, elegant, and witty, full of sharp observations that are never superfluous. Symbolism also plays a crucial role in the narrative. Pemberley, Darcy's magnificent estate, is perhaps the most prominent symbol. Elizabeth's visit to Pemberley is transformative. The estate, with its tasteful grounds and well-managed affairs, reflects Darcy's inherent good character, generosity, and responsibility, qualities that his proud demeanor initially obscured. Her favorable impression of Pemberley marks a turning point in her perception of him, as if the landscape itself is revealing his true nature. Letters are another vital symbolic and structural element. They serve not just as plot devices for conveying information, but as catalysts for introspection and truth. Darcy's letter to Elizabeth is the most significant example, systematically unraveling the web of deceit woven by Wickham and challenging Elizabeth's long-held prejudices. It allows for a form of communication that is more direct and honest than face-to-face conversations, often constrained by social etiquette. This exchange marks the moment when Elizabeth truly begins to see for the first time. Compared to authors like Tolstoy, who tackled grand historical narratives and profound philosophical questions across vast canvases in works like War and Peace, Austen meticulously crafted her stories within the intimate domestic sphere of the English gentry. While Tolstoy might explore the existential dilemmas of war and societal collapse, Austen focused on the inner battles of individuals grappling with social conventions, personal biases, and the universal quest for love and belonging. Her genius lies in finding universal truths within a seemingly narrow scope, proving that profound human drama can unfold just as powerfully in a drawing room as on a battlefield. The intricate character arcs and development in Pride and Prejudice are central to its lasting appeal. Elizabeth's journey from confident, albeit prejudiced, observer to self-aware, humbled protagonist is incredibly compelling. She learns the importance of looking beyond superficial appearances and challenging her own judgments. Darcy, too, undergoes a significant transformation, shedding his pride and learning humility, realizing that true worth lies not in social status but in integrity and character. Their parallel growth makes their eventual union feel earned and deeply satisfying, providing an aspirational model for personal evolution and relational development. Deep insight and reflection, Pride and Prejudice's profound humanistic and philosophical implications extend far beyond its Regency setting, offering timeless wisdom that resonates deeply with our contemporary world. The novel's central theme of overcoming pride and prejudice is perhaps more relevant today than ever before. In an age dominated by social media, where first impressions are often formed from carefully curated profiles and snap judgments are made based on limited information, the dangers of prejudice are amplified. We are constantly exposed to echo chambers that reinforce our existing biases, making it difficult to challenge our own assumptions or truly understand those with differing views. Consider how often we swipe left on someone based on a single image or a brief bio, much like Darcy initially dismissed Elizabeth at the ball, or how quickly we cancel individuals based on rumors or a carefully orchestrated narrative, echoing Elizabeth's initial credulity regarding Wickham's lies. Pride and Prejudice serves as a perennial cautionary tale, urging us to look beyond the surface, to question our knee-jerk reactions, and to seek genuine understanding. It reminds us that character is revealed not in a single glance, but through consistent action, thoughtful reflection, and genuine engagement. Furthermore, the novel's exploration of social class and its impact on relationships, while set in a different era, remains profoundly pertinent. While we may no longer have entailed estates, modern societies still grapple with significant economic disparities and social hierarchies. Wealth, profession, education, and even geographical location continue to influence dating pools, marriage prospects, and perceived social status. The pressures felt by Mrs. Bennet to secure advantageous marriages for her daughters find echoes in contemporary anxieties about financial stability, career success, and the desire to marry up or maintain a certain lifestyle. Elizabeth Bennet's independent spirit and her refusal to settle for a marriage without genuine love and respect continues to inspire female empowerment. In a world where women still navigate complex professional and personal landscapes, Elizabeth's assertiveness, intellectual curiosity, and unwavering integrity offer a powerful model. Her insistence on intellectual compatibility and emotional authenticity in a partner speaks to a universal desire for relationships grounded in mutual understanding, rather than solely external factors. The novel also poses profound philosophical questions about the nature of truth, perception, and self-knowledge. How do our internal biases shape our understanding of the world? Can we truly know another person without first confronting our own preconceptions? The journeys of Elizabeth and Darcy underscore that true virtue and happiness are found not in unwavering certainty, but in the humility to admit error, the courage to change, and the willingness to learn from experience. It's a powerful argument for introspection and the continuous process of personal growth throughout life. To encourage your own reflection on these enduring themes, here are some questions to consider. First impressions vs. true character. How often do you find yourself making firm judgments about people based on initial interactions or superficial information? What are the potential consequences of such quick judgments in your own life? Societal pressures on relationships. What contemporary societal expectations or economic necessities do you observe influencing people's choices in dating, marriage, or partnerships today? How do these compare to the pressures faced by characters in Pride and Prejudice? The role of pride and prejudice in conflict. Think about a conflict you've experienced. To what extent did your own pride or prejudice or that of the other person contribute to the misunderstanding? How could self-awareness have changed the outcome? Female agency. How does Elizabeth Bennet's approach to marriage and personal autonomy resonate with or challenge modern ideals of female independence and empowerment? What progress have women made and what challenges remain? Distinguishing appearance from reality. In an age of digital personas and curated images, how do you discern true character from mere appearance? What lessons can Pride and Prejudice offer in navigating this challenge? The evolution of a relationship. Elizabeth and Darcy's love develops through conflict and self-correction. Do you believe that true love requires overcoming significant obstacles and personal flaws? Why or why not? Austen's critique. Do you view Austen's work as a conservative reinforcement of social order or a subtle, even radical critique of it? What evidence from the novel supports your view? These questions remind us that Pride and Prejudice is not just a historical romance. It's a profound commentary on universal human struggles, encouraging us to look inward and to observe the world around us with greater nuance, empathy, and critical thought. It is a testament to Austen's genius that her observations, penned in a world so different from our own, remain so remarkably insightful and applicable to the complexities of modern life. Outro. As we conclude our journey through the elegant ballrooms and intricate social landscapes of Pride and Prejudice, one truth becomes abundantly clear. Jane Austen's genius transcends time. The novel's enduring literary merit lies in its exquisite craftsmanship, its witty prose, its pioneering use of narrative techniques like free indirect discourse, and its sophisticated social commentary. Austen's ability to create psychologically complex characters who evolve and learn, particularly Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy, secures its place as a classic of English literature. But its lasting popularity is rooted in something even more fundamental: the timeless resonance of its themes. The struggle to overcome our own pride and prejudice, the quest for genuine love amidst societal pressures. The importance of self-awareness and personal growth, these are universal human experiences that continue to captivate and challenge us today. Elizabeth's independent spirit and Darcy's journey to humility offer an aspirational model for navigating relationships and finding authenticity in a world that often values superficiality. Pride and Prejudice reminds us that true connection is forged through understanding, empathy, and a willingness to look beyond the surface. It is a story that encourages us to re-examine our first impressions, to question societal norms, and to bravely pursue a life and a love that is truly our own. If you've enjoyed delving into the world of Jane Austen, you might also enjoy exploring some of her other magnificent works. For a different take on societal pressures and personal judgment, consider Emma, which features another clever, yet sometimes misguided, heroine learning from her mistakes. If you're interested in a more somber, but equally insightful, exploration of second chances and societal pressures, Persuasion offers a beautiful narrative of enduring love. Or for a broader understanding of different temperaments and their social consequences, Sense and Sensibility provides a fascinating contrast between pragmatic reason and ardent emotion. For those interested in how these themes resonate beyond Austen's world, you might explore Leo Tolstoy's Anna Karenina, which also critiques societal expectations around marriage and love, but through a far more tragic and expansive lens, highlighting the distinct cultural and philosophical landscapes between these two literary giants. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of Pride and Prejudice. May it inspire you to always question your first impressions, to value integrity above all else, and to seek out connections that truly understand and celebrate your authentic self. What part of Pride and Prejudice resonates most with you? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more humanities insights, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the world of literature and philosophy. Until next time, keep reading, keep thinking, and keep questioning.